Oh. Hey guys, welcome back. It's been about a week since we roasted our own beans with the Papo Popcorn Popper. Today we're going to get to grind them and pull a shot. I'm going to talk a little bit about dialing in and how you can zero in on a good shot through your espresso machine at home. It's pretty easy, so let's go get started. Okay guys, let's grab the beans that we roasted on the 29th. They look good. They smell fantastic. Definitely a dark roast, good for espresso. The basket I'm using is a 21 gram basket, which means I'll be pulling a triple shot of espresso. It's a light triple shot, but it's more than a double shot, which would be closer to 18 grams, give or take a gram. And now I'll transfer the coffee beans into a coffee mug and give them a light mist of water. This is called the Ross droplet technique, and it decreases a static electricity buildup as the beans go through the grinder, which prevents the ground coffee from sticking to all the surfaces, and it also ensures that I get more consistency, because if I put 21 in, I want 21 out. Let's see how we do. And now to put the grounds into the basket. What I'm holding is a portafilter, and I just put a funnel on it. The basket is what actually holds the coffee grounds. Now that the grounds are in the portafilter basket, I'll use the WDT tool. WDT stands for Weiss Distribution Technique. This tool is simply 8 acupuncture needles stuck in a little handle that I can hold conveniently, allowing me to stir the coffee, which breaks up clumps, evenly distributes the grounds in the basket, and prepares the coffee for tamping. You can make these at home, or you can also find them very cheap on Amazon. I'd be hard-pressed to spend a lot of money on this particular tool. Next, I like to give the portafilter a little tap on the desk. This helps the coffee settle into the basket evenly. I take the funnel out, tap a couple more times to close the gap between the ring and the edge of the basket. Next, I use a wedge to distribute the grounds evenly and make them nice and level before I tamp. This particular tamp is self-leveling, meaning it sits on top of the lip of the basket, holding itself level as I apply pressure. They say 30 pounds. I don't measure it. I just push as hard as I can a couple times. I place the portafilter into the espresso machine and place my demi-tasse cup. When I zero my scale, I pull the lever to start the machine, and I start my shot timer. This is a bottomless portafilter, and through it we can see the bottom of the basket itself. The right-hand side of the basket is getting coffee pushed through it a little faster than the left. That's a tamping issue. The shot is also pulling far too slow. Water is having a hard time getting through the grounds, which means they're much too fine. A shot that pulls this slow will be over-extracted, meaning the contact time between the hot water and the coffee grounds is just too high. We're aiming for that pull time to be 25 to 35 seconds, regardless of the amount of coffee put in the basket. The amount of coffee that we put in the basket does affect how much liquid we want to pull out. In this case, I put 21 grams of coffee in, so I'd like to get 42 grams of liquid out. Since my grind is too fine, I adjust my grinder for a more coarse grind on the next one. A high-quality grinder won't need much of an adjustment, and this ought to do it. Here's shot number 2. I can see immediately that I have more flow than I had on the first shot. But unfortunately, it's still pretty uneven through that puck. The shot only gets worse, as you'll soon see. It made a huge mess. When I saw all of this spray, I began to think that my tamper was the issue. It's a cheap tamper that I got off Amazon, and it's spring-loaded. The spring binds up in there, and I think it prevents me from getting enough pressure on the puck. So let's try again with a different tamper. This tamper I'm using now is the rocket tamper that came with my espresso machine. There's nothing fancy about this tamper, just an aluminum block with a handle essentially. The only reason I don't like it is because it's about 1 millimeter undersized and leaves the edges of the puck untamped. I still have slightly uneven flow through the puck, but I am happy with the flow rate. Starts a little slow, but once it gets going, it's good. Is it perfect? No, but it's good enough for me. Let's watch the rest of this pull, clean up our mess, and see how it tastes. My final shot weighed 43 grams and took 37 seconds to pull, so a little outside the 25 to 35 second range and just a little bit more than twice the amount of grounds I put in by weight. However, like I mentioned earlier, that is close enough for me, and I think this is going to be a pretty tasty cup. After I empty the grounds into my knockbox, I purge the group head to get any coffee and oils out of the machine. I also use this purge cycle to rinse out my portafilter. And then I use my towel to wipe it clean, so it's ready for the next shot. Well guys, looks like third time was a charm on this one. First shot pulled way too slow, the grind was too fine. Second shot I definitely had some channeling issues. Third, looked good down there. Let's see how it tastes. It's pretty good. Not too sour on the front end, no bitterness at the back end, and really what you're looking for is a balance between those two flavors. And I got it here. The first two shots, they're right here. Coffee's expensive and I don't waste it. Maggie seems to want some, but I'll save them for my wife. She'll put so much syrup and milk in it, she'll never know that they weren't good shots. I have to say this might be one of the best shots I've pulled through this machine, and I'm really glad you guys were here to join me for it. Next week, I'll give you a tour of my coffee bar, I'll tell you a little more about my machine, my grinder, and everything else you see. I'll tell you why I got what I got, how much I paid for it, and what I would do differently given another chance. Thanks a lot.